There's been a lot of discussion recently on YouTube about feminism, and some of it is rubbish. I think some of the discussion is so bad. I don't know whether it's because people really believe what they're saying, or whether they're trying to be intentionally provocative, or whether people feel under some kind of threat, or whether people haven't thought about it enough. I don't know what it is, but either way, the discussion is, well, it seems to me to be kind of willfully negligible, really. And there's a few things about it for me. I mean, firstly, the idea that there is one thing called feminism that we can all routinely agree on is just not borne out, really. There's lots and lots of different feminisms, and even the most cursory glance across the literature, 10 minutes work of looking at websites will tell you that. Some of them have got names. There's libertarian feminism, and there's it's just dozens of different ones with actual names attached. But then there's lots of idiosyncratic uses, and that's fine too. People pick up this term, like a lot of other terms, and use it for their own purposes, and that's their right to do that. So the idea that there's one thing that we can all agree on that's called feminism is not correct. Secondly, there's this idea that it's a kind of political party, or it's a religion, or it's a social club that we can kind of join. And when we join, we have to be paid up members of this particular social club and adhere to its tenets. Again, is strange. People seem to be suggesting that they don't want to call themselves this because they don't want to be tarred by the same brush as these other radical feminists or whatever. Well, don't do it then. No one's asking you to, no one's forcing you to. Call yourself what you like. It's just a word. Don't get hung up on it. Thirdly, there's a lot to do with feminism and hate speech, which is really strange in my opinion, I think. And of course, if you read some feminist writers, if you read Dworkin, and if you read some of McKinnon, and if you read some of this other stuff, there's really inflammatory statements there. There really are. And they're hilarious, a lot of them, I think. But it's speech. I mean, the key word in hate speech in that case is the word speech. It's just speech. No one is coming round to your house and carrying out acts which even approximate those actions. Nor is there any kind of organised campaign, as far as I can tell, by, let's call them radical separatist feminists, against men. Apart from one or two isolated incidents, apart from Valerie Solani shooting Andy Warhol, and the abused wife of John Wayne Bobbitt biting his dick off, it just doesn't happen, really. And she wasn't a feminist anyway. So it's not there. So the idea that we should be frightened of this hate speech is a bit weird, really. And equating it with the hate speech of other groups is also completely fallacious. I mean, the idea that this speech, this form of discourse that some feminists engage in, highly inflammatory speech, has some similarities to hate speech of people like the KKK. Well, that's just way off. I mean, the reason why the discourse of the KKK is considered hate speech and is prohibited in certain areas is because it isn't just speech. That's the kind of the point. The KKK support their hate speech with violence. All that language is backed up with decades and decades of violence and murder and particular social policies which exclude a major percentage of the population. So if it was just hate speech, it would be fine. But it's not. In terms of the KKK, it is absolutely the visible auditory portions of a systematic set of violent and discriminatory policies. That's not the case with feminism. It's just talk, and we should treat it as just talk. And sure, if there were incidents of a systematic, violent attacks on men with banners, with the words of Dworkin and McKinnon on them, kind of in support of that, then we'd have to think twice about whether it was a good idea to provide that discursive channel into those violent ideas. But it's just not the case. And the last thing, and this is slightly more personal, I guess, which is, I'm a man, and I've read quite a few writers who either call themselves feminists or have been called feminists, including Dworkin and McKinnon and the rest, and Solanis. And I have to say that, you know, it's really, really easy being a man. It's easy. You know, the world just kind of is there for you when you're a bloke. There's no difficulty at all. I mean, of course, there's the usual human difficulties of earning and surviving and getting on, just like every animal has. But apart from that, it's a piece of cake, really. You know, everything's just there for you. Everything seems to have your name on it. In a way that I'm not sure is exactly true for women. Certainly some of the women I've spoken to and some interactions that I've had, it isn't necessarily the case. It is a little bit more convoluted. So I think if you're a man and you're somehow pissed off because women are saying horrible things about you, then you need to grow up, really. And count your blessings. It's easy being a bloke. Dead easy.